Okay, guys, welcome on. Give you a few minutes. All right, guys, welcome. Okay, guys, so welcome to our live analysis session. Today's Wednesday, the 20th of July night, and let's get this cracking. So, dealing with FX now. So, USD CAD has been an interesting one. The price has been bouncing around, still waiting for the low to be taken. We've had no reaction so far. Okay, but I'm still expecting to see the price react in that order block that we were talking about yesterday. And I expect the price to still come for the low. USD CAD has been an interesting one in this range, and I believe the price is just playing hard to get, but soon we should see the price break. Now, we do have very important news coming out on the US dollar today, so that will take a very strong effect on what we're doing. So we'll be watching to see what the price does here. We can't really make any moves on USD CAD just yet. I've come out of it, but we'll get back in sooner or later. All right. Let's have a look at the majors first. So pound USD has pushed very strongly long since yesterday. We had a very strong spike here in the price, and it seems the price has kind of leveled off this morning with the price coming for the high, but not really that much of a strong reaction. Seems that there's more bullish pressure to go, but the price has reversed all the way back up to where we started off from, which is powerful to see. On the weekly here, if you can remember, this is the area that we were looking at for price action movement here. And the price spiked into here perfectly and it's taken off. Now we are in weekly supply. I'm hoping there is some sort of pullback. There should be one soon. Probably won't be the strongest pullback, but for now, pound USD is still very much bullish. Okay. Now, because we have the news coming out around 7 o'clock today, GMT time, I'm being more speculative with the market in the sense that I'm not going to probably be taking any positions. I rather just want to watch to see what's going on rather than try to push for positions. I don't see the necessity in doing so. I think it'll be wiser to just wait. All right, so USD we've had the bearish scenario so far. Now the price has returned to, I'll use the our H4 area here. Seems like the price is stabilized here, but we can't say for 100% that the price is going to go along. We kind of have this double bottom formation here, which worries me that the price will probably push down lower, which is not a bad thing, but just watching for what the price is doing here. Now, it seems like the market is flat and there's not much activity going on. As you can see, USD has gone long from Asia and then short in the UK session. And then we're back long again in the US session. So we have this kind of up and down range of about 25 pips. And I believe this is because of the anticipation of the news tonight. I think the news tonight will really cause the price to really, push some fireworks. Euro USD is pushing short. Started off short, near the end of the UK session and European session. It's continued into the next morning with more shorting happening. It seems that the price is making its way down short, and I guess the first place it will get to would be this demand area. So only about 13 pips away. So I am intrigued to see what the price is trying to do. Okay, I think that is not as clear right now. Okay, and we've had a lot of ranging going on. Now ranging is good because ranging is the birthplace for a new massive trend. So I'm not so concerned right now. I just want to see how the price is going to make this one happen. Okay. Same for USD Japanese yen. We had a very strong short yesterday, and Asia has recovered most of this strong short that we saw around the 3 o'clock period, and the price has come back very strongly to where it was really taken off from in the first place, which is powerful to see. But we couldn't make any assumptions here. Now I just want to see how USD Japanese yen achieved this along. Let's see this H1 area here. Okay, so the price returned to this H1 area here. That was the trigger for it to go for the long. And I guess that was a really good entry to go for a long actually. Around about 5 o'clock. It's about 57 pips. Stop loss would have been beneath here. So it wasn't actually bad as a trade. It's not so bad at all. Actually quite cool. Happened very much near the end of the day though. Around about 5 o'clock. We see this reversal here. Okay. But with USD Japanese yen, I do think that the price is going to continue going long. So I would like to see how the price achieves it. To me, this potentially might be the entry that we were actually waiting for. And the price may actually just go due north from here. All right, USD CAD. Now USD CAD again, as I said, it's been in a range. Its price will be bouncing up and down. I've left USD CAD alone because the range is crazy. But I'm waiting for the price to give us a bit more insight into what it wants to do. There isn't that much just yet, so we're just gonna have to wait. And AUD USD, we're pushing short here, but again, because of the anticipation of the news, the price isn't really showing much signs of what it wants to do. We are seeing some short action in places and long action, so we're seeing some US dollar strength, so some bullish action on the US dollar. AUD USD is going short. NZD USD is also going short too. And then some of the US to quote pairs are pushing long. So we still have a lot to do and see. I'm going to hang around the markets to see what happens, even around 3 o'clock. Okay. But we'll look at some crosses and see if there's any other opportunities here. Now, the pound is really not letting up on any short action for now. And watching what we have here, I see that we have strong, even with pound Japanese yen. I was in the short, but I closed it because I believe that the market was more interested in the long action. And the confirmation of that is this area here. Took a while for the price to finally get to it, but the price has actually broken past this area, returned inside and going long. So for me, this is a sign of us going bullish because this demand zone is originally for buying, but we've had a flip of the zone and then a return back above it again, which is interesting. So this reoptimization of a zone, I'm expecting to see more bullish action on pound Japanese yen, and possibly even back to this high right here and to the supply zone within it right here. So this is we're in a good place. I wonder how the price is going to play out. I'm more in the phase, of observing rather than trying to dive into the market unnecessarily. So I'm just scanning through to see what are the best probability trades. At the moment, a lot of the FX pairs, especially minor pairs, are not really showing really great signs. Also, the candlesticks, the liquidity seems to be quite low on some of them. So I don't think it'd be wise to jump in. A lot of spiking, for example, NZDJPY, quite a lot of spiking today. A very small range of price, 31 pips, but a lot of spiking up and down. So for me, I wouldn't want to touch this even if it was the last pair available. Okay. So let's have a look at this, the commodities now. So we have bullish action happening on gold versus the euro, whereas with gold versus the US dollar, we're seeing a short. So for those of you who trade gold and silver, always remember that whatever currency pair is the quote currency attached to gold or silver or any of these pairs will have different direction of price because of the currency. Okay. Because gold and silver have true supply and demand, or almost true, very near to true supply and demand. Therefore, their supply and demand is not really, it can be manipulated, but it has more a definiteness to it. With currencies, you could print more currencies. The data news can be bad or worse and things like that, which can affect the currency a lot more. So currency is a lot more volatile than commodities are. Okay, so this is why you could see, for example, gold versus the euro is going long. Gold versus the US dollar still long, but not as strongly long in as you would imagine it to be. Okay, so things like that can change. All right, now silver, it broke past that entry. Now it makes me think that silver is pushing lower and we're going to get a stronger long. I do think we're still going to get a long on silver, but this short that we've had at the moment, it broke past our initial entry, which was here. And now the price has kind of found its way of supply using the last demand zone from this movement here. So it seems as though we are going to get another short on gold. And watching this from this angle here on the weekly time frame, I can see the bearish price that we could possibly get, or price movement we can get. I guess the next place would be this weekly area here. And if the price breaks beneath this, then and beneath this demand zone, then we have room for the price to really go down for some lower lows. But it will depend on everything that we're doing right now. So the price action here of the daily zone, if I put my zone right here and try to analyze this, then we can get some of the stuff going along so that we can do what we need to do. So gold, guys, I'm watching the price action very carefully to see what we get here, and also silver. All right, so moving forward here, pound Japan, pound NZD. Okay, let's go for the H1 here. All right, so pound NZD. Let's move on to the H4. Here we go. So here's the daily time frame here. Pound NZD has just returned to supply right here. So we could potentially see some short action. And I remember last time when Coach Matty was on the live, we had the opportunity here for us to go for price action movement, to go for a short and then for the long. And now we've seen the price fulfill this. I'm interested to see now if the price breaks past here, then we're still going to be going long. I just want to see how the reaction will be. At the moment, there isn't anything special that the price has done apart from just push along to these areas, but we will know soon enough what the price is trying to do. Okay, let's look at pound AUD, pound CAD, euro CAD. Okay, so a lot of these pairs, the liquidity is quite low on all fronts, but I mean, I wouldn't want to be touching any of these pairs at the moment, FX pairs at all. I guess for me, the highest probability ones will be USD CAD, would be a great pair, providing that the price does go for this low. And to be specific, we want the price to push back down to this area here, and then for a long. And then for on the side of gold, all right, with gold, we're still watching for this same area here. So if I go to the H4 now, and we go over to gold, this H4 area is the key that I'm looking for. So here we go. So this area here, we're looking for the price to go short. This is what really I'm looking for with gold. We haven't got the efficiency fulfilled in this order block here. We had many attempts for the price to return to demand before it goes long, but we haven't had it. I mean, even back over to here. So I do expect gold to push back down here. If it does go lower, that would be great. Or from this area, we may see a long. Okay. But for now, gold is, I'm looking for the short on gold to around about 1787. All right, and then from there we'll see what happens. Now, gold has been an interesting one. We had a very strong range yesterday, uh, but really we had price action here, which was interesting to see. Prices returned back to near to this area. Now we've had a short into the morning, so we had a return during the night time from about 4 o'clock GMT into the morning. We've had about 120 pips, and I expect the short to continue. But again, the price will slow down, especially on US dollar pairs, because they'll be lining up order blocks, lining up scenarios for their position. So I wouldn't be surprised, if the price doesn't move much for a few hours, okay, before things start to really heat up. Okay, so for now, guys, my advice to you: don't get involved in the market right now. Allow the market to have the room to do what it needs to do. Just as we can see that as more liquidity pours in, we'll be able to see what goes on. For now, when I've scanned through the pairs, you can see things like USD CAD, which don't are not normally in a range like this, have become very rangy, which is a good sign because that means a major move is going to come out of this very soon. But the signs are not clear yet, but there is sneak peeks we can go for. So right now, as I'm just scanning through to check all of the pairs, I think it's quite safe to say that there isn't much out there at the moment to go by, apart from it seems like we have a lot of trend continuations than reversals. Now, reversals, continuations, they have their places, of course, in the market, and all of them are good. Now, for me, I like reversals a lot, but I also like continuations too. But I think I'm more of a reversal person than a continuation person personally. I know there's a lot of persons there. But anyway, on a side note, let's have a look before we leave here. Just look at some of the indices and see what's happening with them. So on the indices side here, yeah, we've had a bit of a short this week and this month. So if I go to the H4, last week we had a strong short to start off the beginning of the week here, but we're fully recovered already. And now this week the price has shown a lot of ranging also. So I believe what we're seeing here in the markets, equity markets, things like that, price is finding its footing, and I do believe we are going to still see higher highs on the UK 100. Again, there is a gap that needs to be filled here that we're nowhere near. And I believe the UK is just trying to find this footing. From the weekly time frame, if I draw this supply zone, this demand zone here on the weekly, you'll be able to see from this point forward that from here at least, the price is from this point anyway, the weekly time frame, you can see here we're still in demand. Even though we've had many spikes outside of this area, we haven't had a body close here yet. So we're still bullish here. It's just that the price is really characteristic of many indexes and indices, is really producing spikes to stop people out on the long side. But I do think a long will come out soon. So this larger spike here if we look on the daily, makes a lot more sense. It seems as though this spike has actually attempted to come beneath this low, and then we've had the pullback. So on the H4, still messy. The price is still messy, but making sense of it. I do think possibly we might have one more short, uh, just a temporal short, maybe to push the price back into an area of demand. I see an attempt here of the price to get to demand, but wasn't able to grab that area. So possibly this week or into next, we may see a spike down into demand to grab the liquidity from here. We may see the long going forward. That is the UK 100. Now, I'm not really an indices trader like that. I'm not really a fan of them as much. It's because I don't really like the unnecessary spiking. There are great times to trade it, but this is definitely not one, at least for me anyway. And same thing can be said, US 30, we've had very strong spiking, but the price is poised on its way. Now, inflation is higher, so we would see, dollar denominated assets increase in nominal value. So we've had a similar spike last week into demand, and we've continued going long. So you can see that the short attempts have really been definitely pushed back very strongly and very quickly. We had a very strong short attempt here, the week starting the 13th of June, which was quickly reversed in the next week of the 20th of June. And then we've just seen the price consistently push along further along. At the moment on the H4, you can see there's a lot of spiking in this area, but the demand area hasn't changed. If I go to the H4 here, right here is our first area of demand. And secondly here, second area of demand. The price has still stayed within demand, even though there's a lot of spiking, which I expect the price to continue. And you can see here on the M30, it's quite messy. This is why I personally wouldn't trade this. I think the volatility is a bit crazy and is highly manipulated for sure. So I wouldn't want to step my feet into it. Not that Forex isn't, but I think we can get a lot more smoother price action and still grab good gains from these movements here. So I'll be keeping my eyes on there. Now, leaving on the last note, let's look at UK oil. So UK oil is now pushing long on the weekly here to make sense of the price again, why the price spiked like this last week. It was just to return back to areas of demand to continue pushing for a long. And that what we had last week. That's what we had. So we see the price spiking very strongly for a short, and then it's followed by a very strong long afterwards, which without understanding all the blocks doesn't make any sense. But then when the price spikes into this area, we see why the price pushed back for a long here. Okay. And now we are at a breaking point where the price might break out to continue. So if I drag this area here of supply here, let's see what's happened. So the price has just dipped outside of supply a few hours ago. So about 3 hours ago, dropped beneath, and now is poised. I believe we're ready to continue going and getting ourselves back up to some highs. All right. And once this happens, I do expect USD CAD to go short because the UK oil and the US oil especially have a inverse relationship. The higher the price of oil is, the stronger the strength of the Canadian dollar. So I'll be very interested to see how that all plays out. Okay. And similar with US oil, let's have a look at what happened there. So US oil on the weekly, we had a similar reaction. Price spiked into this area. Here we are. So, and we see that the price from the H4 or H1 did the same thing and then pushed off for a long. And this is where we are right now. So again, on the H4, slightly different on how the price looks. If I go to the H1 here, there are some similarities, but I do prefer to see what happens with I'll put this here. I do prefer to see what happens with US oil, because US oil has this supply zone here, which is a lot more clear than UK oil. Okay. So with US oil, once the price breaks above here, we have a lot of liquidity that we can grab from the initial bearish movement here. So a very simple trade like this will be another nice addition to your account, providing the price does that. So I will set an alarm for this because I do believe we potentially can have this. Again, because we have US dollar news, we can't, overdo it, but I expect to see some movement of this nature here. Okay. So this is US oil. And then from here, we can move forward to see what happens. But if US oil goes long, USD CAD will be going short. So we got to be wary of the correlation here, but also pay attention to the price action most importantly. But again, guys, looking at what we have here, there's a lot going on in the price that I would say that we should definitely be waiting for confirmations first. I'll come back around 3 o'clock to see what's going on. But I hope you guys enjoyed that session, and I'll catch you